And it's time to select a realtor to sell your home. There are many criteria that you're looking for, referrals from people you know and, a well-known name, and you Google them and check their reviews maybe. Here's one more thing you want to add to your list. See if this person is going to be engaged throughout the transaction and there's going to be some attention paid to the details of the transaction, because that's what the story today is all about, folks. This is about paying attention to all the details in a transaction, to have a realtor who remains engaged not only till the contract is executed, but all the way through settlement. So welcome to my client stories. These are my favorite kind of videos to make, because I look back at a transaction and say, okay, what exactly worked, and why did we, how did it become successful? Every deal has some issues, and we overcome them to make them a success. So in this case, again, I'll point out to three different things. One is me knowing the neighborhood. So this home was listed by another agent before. They were already under contract. That fell through. There were a couple of other deals that were in play, and they didn't come through as well. And so the seller was very, very frustrated and decided to switch agents. And that's how I came into the picture. Now, I know this neighborhood well. I know the buyer profile, and I was able to cater all the marketing to that buyer profile, including that description in the MLS. The MLS description often is just 3 or 4 sentences, a very short paragraph. Some lazy realtors don't even bother with it because it's like, well, we have pretty professional pictures. Why do you need that? No, their details are important. I have seen my clients, even buyer clients, pour through those details in that MLS listing. And so you don't bury the lead. I led with the important features of the home, which I know the buyers were looking for. So that certainly helped. The second thing is another attention to detail factor, where the contract was written and sent to me. We actually got the contract before we were even listed for sale. It was a coming soon listing, and an agent brought me an offer. Now, since it was such an aggressive offer, and since we were going to be probably accepting this offer without going on the market and giving other buyers a chance to see it, I wanted to tie up any loose ends with the offer. So there was a lot of contingency waivers, and I wanted to document all of those. And so I paid attention to all those details in the actual agreement of sale. So that, helped us, later on. And the third thing was the appraisal. Not many agents actually go to the listing when the appraiser visits. The appraiser just stops by, he's given a lockbox code, he checks it out, and then, we get an appraisal. However, if the property doesn't appraise at purchase price, sometimes when this was a shifting market, where in June and July, when the market suddenly shifted last year, and we were worried about the appraisal because the buyer would have remorse if the property didn't appraise. They had waived the contingency. They had agreed to even cover a significant amount if the appraisal came in short, almost $30,000. But I still wanted the property appraised because I didn't want any issues later. And I always show up for my appraisals and meet my appraisers at the property anyway. So this is a very strange story. I'm going to go a little detailed here. We never know the appraiser. They just come, and then that's when we find out who it is. And each one is a little different. Trust me, I've been doing this for 13 years. I have not met 2 appraisers who think alike or who do the process alike. I mean, the overall process is the same, but each one has such a unique way of approaching the appraisal. So he was only measuring the space. This is a huge property, and he just kept measuring the space for 40 minutes. I have been to appraisals where the appraiser is done in 5 minutes, and here this guy had just been measuring the whole house, and I offered to give him a floor plan. It was only a 4-year-old house, and I said, here, take the floor plan, and that'll help you with the dimensions. But he wanted to measure it himself, and I respectfully stayed away. So these are very subtle differences. We don't want to, overextend our stay. We don't want to interrupt the work. We want to be very respectful. I had other appointments later. I didn't realize I was going to be here for more than an hour, but I stayed because it was important, and it appeared that rushing wasn't going to help. And then the actual story of the appraisal, when I asked him, I said, what kind of comps would you consider for this home? Something within the community, something in the school district, maybe even the township, because it straddles 2 different schools. And he said, I look at everything. So here I was, I'm prepared. I had brought him all the comps, and would you mind if I leave these with you, and maybe that'll be helpful? And he goes, yeah, sure, I'll take them. And this was just a 5-minute conversation. I literally exchanged 4 sentences with him. He wasn't willing to talk. He was very standoffish in the beginning. I let him do his thing. He measured the space for 40 minutes or 45 minutes. I gave him the floor plan and he was grateful for that. And the only conversation about comms was, hey, may I leave these with you? And guess what? We did appraise because I had done my homework and had brought in all the comms from the neighborhood and from the township and also the school district. And even more so because I had highlighted the important features. Hey, this one has an unfinished basement. Hey, this one was on the market for this long. This is that model. This is that model. That square footage in the public records is incorrect. Those kind of details would have surely helped him and the property appraised. So that inflection point was really, really important because we had some mortgage issues and the buyer had to redo his mortgage and he did not have the extra funds to bring to the table in case the appraisal hadn't come through. So all in all, it was a great deal. This is what the seller had to say about me. This is a very grateful seller who was not happy with the previous agent. And, sometimes when sellers get angry and it's hard to turn things around and, make it positive in their minds. We know what the business is and we can do whatever needs to be done. But to have the seller say such superlative things about me was an incredible bonus. And of course, I knew the buyer profile. I knew my paperwork. I knew how to, work with that appraiser who had come to appraise. And end result is we had to extend the settlement a few days, but we held the deal together. So in this case, getting under contract was easy. We went under contract even before we were listed, but holding that deal together took all of my energy. So are you working with an agent who will pay attention and stay in touch and make things happen all the way through settlement? Or are you being handed off to some, admin who probably doesn't have all this experience and you may never see the listing agent again after the contract is signed? Look for these qualities when you hire your realtor to sell your home. Hope you liked my story. Please follow the playlist for other client stories. Each deal is a little unique. Each deal had something different, new players, set of circumstances, different home, and we learn something new from every deal. Thank you, folks. This is Bela Vora with the Coldwell Banker Realty, and follow me on social media and like and comment on this if you enjoyed it. Share it with your friends.